Good day and welcome back to another World of Warcraft video. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at the trading post for the month of November. We're going to be taking a look at the Adventure Guide reward, which is the lovely prize turkey. A very cool, albeit very borderline stylistic kind of mount. It's one of those mounts that on another day probably isn't I would say top-notch for your focus of, like fitting into World of Warcraft. But I think, like, for me, 100%, it is a, still a cool mount. I don't think it deviates enough from the style to not warrant being a cool mount. And it's in celebration of Thanksgiving, national holiday in America. Then we have the Highlands Gobbler, a simple mount as well. Very cool. Reskin. I like the darker armor palette. I think it's enough of a variation that it makes it very interesting. And I think a very cool mount that for me is honestly a great kind of pickup. And we have the Villagers Country attire, Villagers Country collection, both Pilgrim-esque cosmetic attires, both nice and simple. Just depends on how attached you are to that kind of like feudal, well, I guess it's post-feudal, but that kind of like would be early 1800s appearance. Waterproof attire, I like to call this the It attire. Always reminds me of the young boy from It that meets a really unfortunate fate in that process. So yeah, definitely a very unfortunate fate for that young man. Death Whisperer's robes, a very cool like outfit. I think personally a very nice pickup, and honestly an incredibly good looking robe that can be used to fill out a lot of other cosmetics. Big old fork, an interesting trident, I guess, or pitchfork if you're wanting to look that way. But for me, overall, not necessarily something I would absolutely stand by right now. Then you have the big gold spoon, not something I think looks great at all. Dread Feather Vestments, another great semi-Valkyr looking item. Very cool, can be used to round out a lot of transmogs. Pristine, great steak knife, although it's obviously modeled after a steak knife, is actually genuinely a really good little pickup. So I actually really like this one a lot. Corrupted Rune Lord's headband, a nice little headpiece to kind of round out any of your Valkyr-based transmogs, as mentioned before. And then we get into some interesting alternative items, some sweatsuits, some chilies, some vegetables, a cool little backpack with eggs and forks and knives on it. And all of this stuff is kind of chef themed. Obviously to do with Thanksgiving, the concept of cooking food, preparing meals, which is big around that time. And I think this backpack is awesome. It gives me kind of like Kung Fu Panda vibes. It makes me really feel like it's good for Kung Fu Panda, like it just reminds me of Poe pushing that cart in that movie. I don't know why. Smoked Rugerback is also pretty interesting. I actually think it could look semi-decent for an orc character. Not saying it would be like my first choice, but it definitely feels like it could be really quite solid and something that could be good overall. So yeah, I do suggest that you consider looking into that one, because I think it is genuinely a very nice pickup. The stale gratin loaf is okay, not something that's too crazy for me. The wearable copper lid, also semi-decent, nothing too crazy for me. Corrupted Silkweed doublet is nice, nothing too crazy. Chef's apron I think is very cool. The copper pot of stew is a nice pickup. Again, if you're cosplaying a chef, then you have the alternative shield. More chilies and offhands, etc. The Carrot Winter Talk is actually really cool. I love the hat. I am absolutely disappointed that it has a whole bunch of clipping. I don't like that. I hate that it has clipping. It's very irritating for me because I am not a huge fan of clipping, and so in that way it is quite annoying for me because I'm just not really sold whenever there's clipping. It's just very irritating for me. Then we kind of fill out with our gladiator based outfits that we usually get, all with this nice warm carrot color, I guess, carrot color. So that's really interesting. And then we have the Dark Rangers ensemble for those of you who wish to cosplay as Sylvanas. And then we have the Gladiators Battered Armor, probably one of my favorite armors. Very, very cool. Very nice and low key, but with great textures, great design, great style, and one that you can incorporate pieces into other outfits. So if you're asking me, I'm probably going to pick up finally the Dark Rangers ensemble, and I will probably pick up the mount, and with some spare I might pick up the Rune Lord's band or the portable bakery, just because I think it looks so cool. But yeah, that's it from me. See you guys next time. Bye.